Carnauba Cream is a protective wax finish for leather goods that generally dries flexible, helps resist moisture, fingerprints, light scratches, and also provides a glossy finish. Let's take a look at a few different things. So we'll check out when to use it, what's in it exactly, and when it can be helpful for crafting. So with that, let's dive right in. So Carnauba Cream creates a glossy, water-resistant finish that's somewhat hard and durable, yet flexible. So it makes it useful for a lot of applications on leather where a surface protectant is preferred. And it uses an ingredient called Carnauba Wax. And this is a wax that comes from the Carnauba palm tree in Brazil. To harvest it, the fronds are cut, shredded, and then dried. The wax flakes off in a powdery form, which is then collected, melted, strained, and purified to result in a solid wax. It is then generally sold in a flake form for commercial uses. Most often, yellow and brown in color, it can be very similar to beeswax and even bleached white. And while brittle on its own, most often in leathercraft, we see the Carnauba wax is blended with other emulsifiers and a liquid carrier to create the creams and the balms, such as the Fiebing's Carnauba Cream. So let's take a look at what's inside. The composition is around 90% water, 3% Carnauba wax, and around 7% other emulsifiers, fats, and oils. So there's really only a small amount of Carnauba wax in this Carnauba Cream, which is mostly made from water to act as a carrier to help the cream penetrate into the leather fibers. So let's take a look at a sample and give you an idea of exactly what this looks like and feels like in person. So here we've got the jar open. You can kind of see even a little bit of it flowing around in there. And then here we'll pour out just a little bit and you can watch how it moves. So it's got some movement to it. It's not totally like paste-like, but it's also got a little bit of a liquid flow. And if we look here, we're going to use this Cosmetic sponge, and you can kind of see how it moves here when we lift it up. And let's apply it to a sample of leather so you could see what it looks like as it's going on. And so here we're using an unprotected piece of veg tan leather, and we'll just apply the Carnauba wax just like that. And the Cosmetic sponges are good because they're not as absorbent as some cottons. And so you could really see that wax kind of going on. So we'll just dip a little bit back here. Then we can come back, just apply it again, smoothly like this. And then remember, we've got around 90% of that is water, and that's really going to help this wax penetrate into the fibers. And then when that water evaporates, you're going to have those waxes and the fats and the oils are going to then remain in the leather after that water comes out. And so if we look here, it applies pretty evenly. What I like to do is, after we kind of get the initial application in, just go over one more on the end. And that way you kind of blend in all the spots that may have gotten a little more than others or a little less. And you kind of get a nice even coat, across that surface. And there you've got it. So you can even see some reflectivity already while it's still wet. But that's it. That's going to change that surface a little bit. Another application option as well is you could use something called a wool dauber. The wool dauber is going to be able to hold a little more of that material on there. So it really depends on how much you're looking to apply and what your preferred method is. But you could really use either here. And when it's helpful for crafting, Carnauba wax can be helpful if you're looking to provide a lightly protective surface to your leather that's going to dry flexible. It's going to help resist some moisture, and it's also going to keep fingerprints a little more off of there, as well as light scratches and abrasions, and it'll provide a little bit of a glossy finish there for you too once it dries. Because remember, there's wax in that water mixture, And so that wax is going to stay, relatively on the surface once everything dries out. So it's best used on smooth leathers, not really your suedes or your nubucks. So something like a vegetable tan is going to be great. And it generally wears away over time and requires reapplication. And that's because as this wax dries on the surface, as that surface gets rubbed and abraded and kind of used day to day, that wax is naturally going to rub off onto those other things. Not so much that it's going to be like all over your things, more so in the sense that, we've applied that surface and, once that kind of wears away, we're going to have to reapply that as well. This is going to act a little bit different than something like a Resolene, where a Resolene is an acrylic-based product that essentially creates a layered coating over it, where Carnauba Cream will generally have a more natural aging look and wear pattern to it, since it simply is some waxes and oils on the surface, rather than an independent layer of a different material, such as plastic. And now that we've given it time to dry, let's take a look and compare its water resistance to an untreated piece of leather. So here, we'll start with the untreated one, and we'll take some water here and an eyedropper, and we'll kind of put it on. You could see it kind of absorbs right in there and doesn't slide down too much. And now we'll take our Carnauba Cream treated one, and you could see immediately it's not darkening it as quickly, and it's a little bit more still on the surface. So here's our untreated, and here's our Carnauba Cream treated. So an immediate difference to start. So if you're looking for a leather finish that can provide some water resistance and scratch resistance, Carnauba Cream is a great water-based mixture that can give some excellent results. If you have questions, let us know. If you've worked with this before, definitely share some of your experience. And there you have it. Until next time.